We felt that it was necessary for us to put this on the ballot because a lot of our supporters and our voters here in Huntington Beach said they were concerned about the integrity of our elections. Some of them had showed up and they were told they had already voted in person. So we figured, why not put that extra measure of security in place? They ask you for ID to buy cough syrups before you can go to a spa, to open a bank account. But for some reason, it becomes taboo to ask for an ID to go vote. And we figured, let's put this out. Let's go ahead and put this out to the voters so that they can tell us, do they really want this? And as you see with the results, the voters did say they would prefer to have voter ID. The $1 million question is, why is the state fighting us so strongly on this? And if it is already illegal for us to ask for an ID, why is Senator Dave Min now pushing a bill to make what we are doing illegal? Why are you wasting all these time, energy, and resources trying to pass a bill to stop us from asking for ID, which is what the voters want, if it is already illegal? What this tells me is the state has absolutely no respect for the voters, for the residents. Obviously, this is what they want. We put it out there on the ballot. They said, we want this, and the state is doing everything within their power to stop us from honoring what the voters have been asking us for. What we are also asking for is for an additional 20 in-person voting locations. When I moved here, we used to go vote in the clubhouses and people's garages and fire stations and schools. And all that has been reduced significantly. So it's made it a little bit less accessible for many members of our community. So we're asking for 20 more in-person locations. And we're also asking for the ability to monitor the drop boxes if we choose to do so. When I went to vote, I walked in, they asked me for my name, they asked me for my address, and that was it. My neighbor could have gone in and said, I'm Gracey Vandermark, this is my address, and she would have been given my ballot. Then I go to show up to vote later, they would have given me a provisional ballot. Now, there aren't any cameras inside the voting area, and they're not asking you for IDs. So how exactly are we going to identify these people that are actually going in there and voting for others? It is very easy. Now, I've been to the Orange County Registrar where they verify signatures from the mail-in ballots. That's a whole different story. What we are focusing on is in-person voting. If you show up in person, then you should show ID. When you mail in your ballot, they compare your signatures. So why is it that we don't have the same measures when we show up in ID? I didn't sign my ballot, so how are they going to verify? We are asking for an extra level of protection. Many other countries that are not quite as developed as we do ask for an ID. Other states, over 20 other states, have some form of voter ID requirement. So what we're doing right now is not something novel or reinventing the wheel. We are just trying to bring that same level of security here locally to increase voter participation and return the faith in our elections. Why is the state fighting us? That is the question that we need to answer. Why is the state fighting so aggressively when we're trying to say we want to prove who we are when we show up to vote? Every single action we take in our lives, every single day is decided and determined by a politician. From what stove you can have in your home, how much water you can use, what you can wear in certain areas, what cars you can drive. Every aspect of our lives is decided by some policy a politician decided on. And we should make sure that our election, which determines everything that we do, are secure. Why would we not? We have to show ID to get cough syrup, but we can't ask for ID to vote. It's ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense. But I am concerned as to why they're fighting us so aggressively. When I have somebody like Mr. Bonta and Gavin Newsom attacking us, it actually doesn't make me want to back down. Both of my parents came from different countries. One came from Mexico, the other one from Ecuador. Why did they leave their countries? They didn't want to leave their culture, their family, and their homes behind. They left because their government failed them. And that is how I was raised. I was raised, you have to watch the government or the government's going to decide everything for you. So I was raised to question government, and I think we should. Does it make me afraid? No, I'm more afraid that our country is going to go down because we're afraid to ask questions because somebody's going to try to make an example out of us. We have to stand up and we have to fight at some point. And I do believe this is a point where we have to fight back. I know for a fact a lot of other cities are looking at Huntington Beach. They agree with our sentiment. They feel the same way. but they're afraid to fight because they're afraid of Sacramento retaliating. We have received emails just yesterday and this morning from people from other states saying they agree with what we're doing. So people are watching because we are asking for this information. We are asking for the integrity of our elections to be protected. But the government's not listening. The only difference between Huntington Beach and other cities is that we're moving forward with doing what the voters want us to do. Right now, other cities that are local here in our area are afraid. We're at the point where the people are more afraid of the government than the government is of the people. And that is a real big concern. So we're moving forward. We're not doing anything that's extraordinary or unusual other than keeping our promises that we made while we campaigned. And that is we are going to honor the will of the voters. One of the arguments that we received from Sacramento against voter ID is that the low-income minority communities are being disenfranchised or affected. I grew up in a small city in Los Angeles called Maywood, very low-income minority community. We all had IDs. The fact that they're saying that people like me, whether you're brown, black, Asian, or poor, that we are too ignorant or incapable of getting an ID is offensive. Because I'll tell you, we go through struggles, we are resourceful, we know how to survive, and I guarantee you, we can get an ID. As a matter of fact, one of those people that they think is too ignorant to get an ID or incapable of getting an ID is now the mayor of the city of Huntington Beach. And I think it's very insulting and in a way racist for them to make these comments that people like me are not capable of getting an ID. Because we are. The content of our melanin does not make us any less able than anybody else.
If you haven't checked out CaliforniaInsider.com, we highly recommend you do that now because we're going to have a lot of news and videos there. And on top of what we have there right now, we are building a really big platform to cover what's happening in California so you can be informed. We're going to have more shows, more videos from all aspects of life in California. Go to CaliforniaInsider.com and we'll see you there.